everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside the Pigskin. It's me and the guys. I feel so honored tonight. Guys, thank you so much for allowing me to be hosting tonight. I am going to welcome in my panel one by one. Mr. George Eichhorn, how are you tonight?
I'm very well. Thanks for having me on tonight. And big shoes to fill, I know, but you'll do a great job, Candy.
Thanks. Yes, Scott is a little under the weather. He had some medical testing done today, so here I am taking his place. Smoking Jeremy B., my co-host on Fire Up. How are you tonight?
Fantastic. It's another great day to be seen and not viewed.
Very well. Yes, exactly. Mr. Travis Holmes, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing well, man. Football season never ends. Let's get it going.
Yes, yes. And then the running back on the team here, Mr. Melfar Jr., how are you tonight?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me back. Sorry I missed last week. Candy, I look forward to this. You're doing double duty today. You got to host and you got to produce.
Yes. A lot of shoes to fill, especially the big shoes of Scott's. And I don't know how I don't compare. I'm not the Motor City Mad Mouth, but I'm going to try my best. So, guys, first topic of the night. Let's talk a little NFL. And I want to say kudos to Jason Kelce for retiring today. He goes out on top. I'd like all your thoughts about him, his career, and retiring. We're going to start with George.
Well, it wasn't totally unexpected because he was hinting at it, obviously, since Super Bowl, or maybe it was a little before that. I'm not sure. But Jason had, just a great career. What a wonderful guy. I mean, this guy knew how to play the game, didn't he? Come on. He was a Pro Bowl, All-Star, All-Pro, whatever you want to call it, for so many years in the NFL. Did a terrific job. And then, of course, the whole drama about playing his brother in the Super Bowl and his mom and family watching both of their sons. Just incredible feeling for their family to see both their boys in the NFL. And I know, Mel, you've got incredible feelings as you and your brother, and of course your father before you, made the NFL. And such a proud moment it must be for the family, the Kelce family. Mm-hmm. And I figure, hey, if he's got nothing else to do, maybe he can try to be the scheduler for they're not engaged yet, but Taylor Swift and her boyfriend. Maybe the retired NFL center could do the scheduling. I'm just kidding, but no, I just have nothing but great things to say to him. He anchored that line and he did a fantastic job. I'm sure the Eagles would have liked to win another one or two more Super Bowls with him, but it wasn't meant to be. But hats off to him. Great career. And I think that's all I got to say right now.
Mel, your thoughts about Jason Kelce?
He's a great football player, a guy that got the most out of his talent, out of his God-given talent. He wasn't a high draft pick. It just shows that quality guys, you can find him anywhere. You have to just kind of, you don't know a guy's heart. The guy obviously has a huge heart, a lot of will, a competitive spirit, played the game the right way. Actually, it's one of my brother's favorite linemen. He always talks about him because he always comes out there, spatted up, look like he's ready to go. But he had a great career, and I'm sure he'll do great things off the field as well as he was already starting to do while he was there in Philadelphia. But I don't expect him to do anything other than to continue to do great things.
Smoking Jeremy B., your thoughts?
The writing was on the wall. I'm still trying to figure out at that championship game where he was attending, watching his brother play, who Travis Kelce was giving the heart to up there at that booth, whether it was his brother shirtless or Taylor Swift. But either way, kudos to him. He's going to go down as one of the best centers to ever play the game. 13-year career, great career with Philly. Kudos to him.
Travis, your thoughts?
You all have said it, man. You get 13 years with the same organization. You probably did something right. Like the fact that he got re-upped that many times. And to everyone else's point, I mean, the writing was obviously on the wall. He had to mow retirement 2 off seasons straight before this. So we and just consistently just re-signed 1-year deals. So we already kind of knew what that was. But I mean, congratulations to that family. I mean, you get to play in the Super Bowl with your brother. You get to re-up the next year, and then you get to cheer your brother on in their next Super Bowl. I mean, obviously you would have wanted to go out, maybe get that second championship, but nevertheless, I mean, come on, 7-time Pro Bowl, 6-time first team All Pro. The dude's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer 2029. Like, this is not even a question. Great job, great career, good stuff.
Yes, he had been asked many times why he chose football and what drew him to the game, and he said, "I never had an answer that gets it right." He goes, "The best way I can explain it is it what draws you to your favorite song, your favorite book. It's what makes you feel you. The seriousness of it, the intensity of it. I love the challenge that football was, the joy of winning, the agony of defeat, the anxiety of the unknown, and the camaraderie of my teammates." And he said he was thankful that he did it in the city of brotherly love, since he did it with, and granted, he didn't play with his brother, but his brother played the game as well. So he thought that was most fitting. Kudos to him. Kudos to his career. So today was the day that we had franchise tags. Let's talk about what franchise tag surprised you, or what franchise tag didn't, or is there one that you particularly want to talk about? So let's start with Travis.
I mean, the tag I want to talk about is the one that didn't happen, honestly.
Okay.
The tag that I want to talk about is the fact that the Jaguars were not able to reach an agreement with the good Josh Allen, the outside linebacker, defensive end, edge, whatever you want to call him, for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And because of that, they are more than likely going to end up losing Calvin Ridley to free agency unless they can come to some sort of agreement, handshake agreement before the new league year starts. So that's got a lot of hand wrangling going on in Duval County right now, Jacksonville. So that's my big one so far, because it kind of hits the home team.
Okay.
According to
Smoke and
ESPN, he
Jeremy
was
B.
tagged.
What?
Wow. According to ESPN, he was tagged.
No. Josh Allen was tagged, which means that the team is going to end up losing Calvin Ridley. The goal was to have Josh Allen re-upped so that they can use
Okay,
the tag
gotcha.
Calvin
So,
Ridley.
okay, I get you. I was like, I'd rather have Allen than Ridley myself.
Oh, of course.
The only reason why you guys got Ridley is because he gambled against you when he bet on his own team. But anyways,
We appreciate him for his sacrifice.
The one that surprised me is probably Kyle Duggar to the Patriots. I didn't see that one happening because they have this thing where they just regurgitate another great safety into that system every year. Granted, this is Gerard Mayo's first year, but he was the defensive coordinator. So you would think it would be able to do the same thing that Belichick was doing, but they're doing something different now.
Okay.
They put the transition tag on him, didn't they? They just put the transition tag on him.
Yeah, it just saves them a couple million by doing that.
Yeah.
Because normally people aren't going to make that trade for somebody that takes 2 picks to get, plus pay them more.
Yeah.
Which means they're not going to use it on their linemen, unfortunately.
And I don't know if you guys talked about it last week. I'm sure you guys probably you may have. But you look, running backs weren't tagged this year, which is a good thing, I believe, because now somebody's going to get paid out of the ones that are available, whether it's Saquon, whether it's Josh Jacobs. Somebody is going to get some money, and that's what they needed. They needed an opportunity to hit free agency so they can move that number up. They've been handicapped by this the franchise tag, and so they weren't really able to go out there and create a market for themselves. And you have second tier guys who are out there in the market who are setting the market for the running backs, and that number it's been going down. The number has gone down in the last number of years to where I think it right now is what was the number? $10 million or just a little over $10 million. I think is what the franchise tag number is for this year. That number has gone dramatically down. So now you have some guys that are definitely in the prime of their career who get an opportunity to test free agency. There's going to be somebody out there. You look at a guy like Christian McCaffrey and what he means to that franchise. There's some guys, there's some teams out there that are a running back away. Yeah, everybody thinks you can get a running back. You can go pick one up at the grocery store, get one off the street, or whatever the case. You can't get Marshall Faulks at the grocery store. You can't get those kind of guys at the grocery store. You can't get a Christian McCaffrey. They're just not walking on the street. Saquon Barkley. Those guys aren't just walking on the street. A guy that can run 4.3 and he throws up 225 pounds 29 times. They're just not out there in your backyard. You just can't pluck those kind of backs off the tree. You look at the injuries this past year. Quarterbacks got hurt. There's a lot of quarterbacks that went down with Achilles injuries, and quite a few wide receivers, high-dollar wide receivers that went down. Now, you want to pay a wide receiver who's going to touch the ball 6 to 8 times a game. You're happy paying him $20 million. But a guy that's going to touch the ball 20, 25 times a game and is going to take a lot of pressure off of your quarterback and is going to enable you to be able to throw to those wide receivers to make those big plays down the field, those 6 to 8 times a game. You don't want to pay that guy the money. I mean, that's the horse that pulls the buggy. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens this year in free agency with the running backs. I'm glad they didn't get tagged.
We're going to quick say hi to Joshua Bernstein, who's what's going on, folks, as he's in the chat room. All right. Mr. George, tell us what you think about the franchise tags. Is there one?
Well, I just thought that I'm not objecting to it at all, but I've always been a fan of Michael Pittman, and he got the franchise tag at Indianapolis with the Colts, but he's really, really come on the last few years. I've really enjoyed watching him. The Colts are, pardon the expression, hopefully kicking up their heels and getting better and better as these years pass. But and I know they got some young receiving talent, but boy, oh boy, Michael Pittman Jr. is a great ball player and probably their most prolific receiver right now. He's a tough dude. He does the dirty work. I like him. So I'm not going to say one that really surprised me per se, but I found that there were a lot of safeties and corners on that list, but not too many wide receivers. So, but definitely Pittman deserves it. I mean, he has really, really, like I said, sparkled in Indianapolis, and the Colts definitely need him. So they had to make sure he was secure.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
two wide. It was two wide receivers tagged today, right? It was Michael Pittman and then
T. Higgins.
T. Higgins.
Okay.
Yep.
He was.
Higgins was tagged at the beginning.
Right.
Yeah.
As soon as they could, they tagged him.
But
As soon as they found out what the
Mel.
salary cap was going to be, they tagged him.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but Mel, you said you were interested in seeing what the free agency market was going to look like for the running backs, and I was curious about what your thoughts are on the fact that this running back draft. I mean, the best guy in the draft right now was the guy out of Texas, right? Like, and he's probably going to be a second round draft pick, late first, best case scenario. So now you're going to have a lot of teams that might be loading up on running backs in the, you're talking second to, sixth round. Doesn't that negatively impact the running back free agency class as far as that's concerned?
I don't think so. I mean, that means there's no dynamic guy out there. You got two dynamic, proven commodities in Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley. Now, if you want to go as far and say, Derrick Henry, he's right around pushing 30, somewhere in that area, 29, 30 years old. But these guys are proven. They're proven commodities. They've rushed for 1,000 yards. We know what Saquon's capable of doing. He's capable of rushing for 1,000 and getting you 80 to 100 rocks, catching 80 to 100 balls. We know what Josh Jacobs can do. He can pound the rock. He can also catch the ball. They really didn't use him in that way, but he can also catch the ball. These guys are difference makers on your football team. And there's teams right now that are, that need help in that area because it's just going to help your running game. It's going to help your passing game. It takes so much pressure off your quarterback. It takes pressure off your defense. I'm sure the Texans, as much as they like Scott's favorite guy down there, I'm sure as much as they like him down there,
Stroud.
No, the
CJ?
running back Scott likes.
Damian
Oh
Pierce.
gosh. Oh gosh.
No. There was a guy that was at Buffalo that Scott's
Oh,
always talking about.
Singletary.
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 Yeah.
I'm sure, as much as they would like him, I'm sure they would love to have a Saquon, or they'd like to have a Josh Jacobs, or maybe even a Derrick Henry. But I mean, there's top of the line talent there. Now, I don't think that the Dallas running back is going to command much money. So Pollard, I think he's a good change of pace guy. He's not a guy. He can't carry the mail. He's not the guy he's not the horse that pulls the buggy. He's a good change of pace guy.
Okay. I think that was interesting. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. You're the running back guy, so you when you're talking about running backs, I want to hear that one, because I'm like, I'm from my perspective, I was always thinking that these guys were going to just load up on these cheap, disposable bodies early, and kind of just.
Are you going to take a chance? Are you going to take a chance on a second rounder that you really don't know a whole lot about, unless you know a lot about him? Are you going to really take a chance on a second rounder? Are you going to take a chance on if you're a team that's close, and quite a few of these teams are close, you want talent. Hey, there's nothing wrong with getting one of those guys in the second round and add to your depth. But as far as the top end back, the number one back, you want somebody that you know what he's going to do, will know what he's capable of doing.
Understood.
That's true. Absolutely.
Okay, so let's move a little bit to the NFL draft and tell me what do you think is going to surprise us about this draft? And what do you think Chicago's going to do with that number one pick? Are they going to trade it, or are they going to use it? So let's start with Mr. George. NFL draft.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this on another show on the network a couple of weeks ago, and as far as the Bears go, obviously, I think they're probably going to take Caleb Williams of USC. I really do. There's too much noise going in and out of the sports world that they're not going to do anything and keep Fields. But I tell you what, I think this kid still has a lot. And there's a lot of talk about them sticking with Justin Fields, but I don't know. I think Caleb's got so many good tools. He's a good quarterback, and I know the bottom fell out at USC this year, and obviously everybody was disappointed. They had high hopes for Southern Cal to possibly go all the way, go to the national championship game, but it didn't happen, of course, as we know. So I really think, though, that there's going to be so many quarterbacks. I mean, Candy, you talk about Williams, and then you got, Jaden Daniels, and then we're talking about the guy from Michigan, J.J. McCarthy. They don't know how high he might go. There's rumors that maybe the Giants will be looking at him. You got so many quarterbacks in the top of the draft. You got Drake May from North Carolina as well. So I'm glad you pointed that out, Mel, because and Travis, that there's like nobody that I saw, in the first round projected from the running back position. Blake Corum, again, Blake's going to have a tough time because of his size, but don't ever underestimate the heart, the will, and the desire of that young man. And I know he's not going to go in the first round, but I expect him to go in the second round to somebody from the national championship Wolverines. So. But yeah, I think Chicago is going to go with a new quarterback. That's my gut feeling, Candy.
Okay. Travis, your thoughts?
I mean, I don't have anything to add to that. Like, hey, I fully agree with everything George just said. I think Chicago's also going to go with Caleb Williams. I think they're going, but I think they are going to end up trading Justin. They're just trying to figure out the lay of the land, figure out how to get the best offer they can get, and then just deal for what they can, because the front office seems scared to make the wrong decision. So they're going to keep taking bites at the apple until they know for sure they have the guy. I can't blame them for that when it's your job on the line, your multi-million-dollar job on the line. But at the same time, they still didn't. It's easier to hit on the right guy than it is to build a whole team. And they're struggling to build the whole team as it currently stands. But at least if you can get the right guy, then figuring out the rest, it will probably salvage your job.
So what's going to surprise us about the draft? Anything that you...
I mean, we've already heard about how deep it is at cornerback, and we've already heard about how deep it is as far as the offensive line is concerned. So you know that already.
Mhm.
With that, I'm probably saying it's going to be something insane. Like, let's go with 10 to 12 wide receivers going to go in the first 2 rounds. Like we know it's a deep draft, but I'm thinking like it's going to be some record set, because if you look at the tape, you can see these guys that normally in a lot of drafts will be in the top 2 rounds, and you're probably in rounds 3 and 4 still looking at like dang, this dude from Florida, he's good too. Like, oh Lord, there's just a lot of guys out there right now.
Okay. Your thoughts, Mel?
Yeah, don't ask me who they are, but I think there'll probably be 5 to 6 quarterbacks taken in the first round. I think that'll be a surprise because every team's going to want to reach, and they're all going to reach. And I think that there might be. I think there's one probably blue chip quarterback, and that's even kind of dicey when you're looking at the type of year that the kid had at USC. He digressed. He didn't improve. He didn't get better. His sophomore year was a much better year statistically than his junior year. I think his junior year, he tried to constantly make the big play. He kind of reminds me a lot of Russell Wilson. He can do the spectacular, but just doesn't do the mundane very well. I need to see the kid sit back in the pocket and fire the ball and deliver it. I really haven't seen that on a consistent basis. So it'll be interesting to see. And the other thing is, I don't know what he measured out height-wise. I know they list him in the program at 6'1". Usually that means he's about 5'11 and a half. I have a problem with that. I don't particularly like my quarterbacks short and stout. I like them, stoic. I like them tall and stoic. I like the Peyton Mannings. I like the Trevor Lawrences. I like the Eli Mannings. I like the Drew Bledsoes. Tom Brady's. I like my quarterbacks tall and stoic, not short and stumpy and stout. So I think a lot of these teams will probably reach on a quarterback. I can't really say which one's the best one. I do like the kid out of Washington. I do like him because he's been very, very consistent, although he's been hurt quite a bit, but he's had a lot of snaps in college. So I think that he could ultimately be the best pro. I don't necessarily know if he's projected to go early, but I think somebody will probably take a flyer on him and reach. What I think about Chicago, I think they should I think they should trade the pick and gather more picks. Gather assets. That's a smart way to build a team. You know who Justin Fields is. You know what he's doing. He is improving. Caleb Williams, you don't know exactly what it is, and then what could you be doing? You're stagnating your franchise. You're taking a step backwards. If you're not getting better, then you're getting worse. And so really, what you're doing is you're getting worse as a franchise by starting all over again at that position. I think you trade the pick, get a king's ransom for it, and continue to build.
Okay. Smoking Jeremy B.
I'm going to echo his sentiment because the reports came out today when Ryan Poles addressed the media saying, well, since Baker Mayfield and Kirk Cousins are both interested in targets for Pittsburgh and Atlanta, we're going to table any trade talks till we see what happens at free agency next week, which means more than likely they already know that those two teams are interested in one or both of those two players. One will go to one team, one will go to the other, which means there goes the only two trade partners they had that wanted to trade either for Fields or up to one. So now it's trade back with another team that's back there around 3 or 4 or maybe 5 that needs a quarterback. Well, 5 is the Chargers. They don't need a quarterback. They're out. It's 4. The New England Patriots. And I heard they're very high on Jaden Daniels and Drake May over Caleb Williams. But they don't have to wait on somebody else drafting them in front of them. They can go up and get their guy. So I think Fields stays in Chicago. They trade back. They get a multitude of picks, and they get 5 picks in next year's top 100 and have 6 or 7 in this year's top 100. That's what I think is going to happen. And that would be smart because if they're sitting there at 4, Joe Alt falls into their lap or Marvin Harrison Jr. Either one.
Okay, nice discussion. Anybody else want to comment on anybody else's comments or anything like that on the NFL draft? Anybody? Going. Well, then we're gonna move a little bit to college, and we're gonna talk about NIL a little bit. because I want to talk a little bit. Over 10,000 athletes accept an NIL deal for college football video game. EA Sports to have their likeness. It was announced on Monday. They began reaching out to football players in February to pay them to be featured in their game that's going to launch this summer. They're going to receive a minimum of $600 and a copy of EA Sports College Football 25. And if they didn't accept it, then they're going to be out of the game completely. So your thoughts about the NIL and the kids getting money for being on a video game? Let's start with Jeremy.
Well, they offered them last year, so they could have released the game last year, a copy of the game, and $5,000 per player across the board, whether they were Division II, Division III, Division I. If they accepted it, they were getting $5,000 per player. When you say the average college team, if you take all of them, add them up, and divide it, it's around 70 players per team, which means 128 in Division I, another 75 in Division II, and another 65 in Division III. You multiply that by 70. When you add those three totals together, they cost themselves billions of dollars per year. So by turning down that deal, they reworked it to where it's to EA's advantage.
You did. George, your thoughts?
Well, you know, I know it's a minimum of $600. To me, it doesn't sound like enough money. But I understand, you know, it's you know, that's an average, a minimum, if you will, 600. I think that obviously this is a wave of the future, college football. So you got 10,000 athletes that have already signed up and accepted the offer from EA Sports. There's going to be more and more of these kind of things to come. Of course, there's not going to be exactly same offer with with a video game, I mean. But I thought it was very interesting. I didn't think there would be as many as 10,000, but then again, you know, these kids are looking for opportunities. They want to make some money. They want to, you know, share in some of the proceeds that have been going out the window, so to speak, in college sports to administrations and big time conferences and commissioners and athletic directors and all the money they make. But I give EA Sports credit, Candy. I mean, I think this is something they've been working on. I read since 2021, and they got a, you know, this is a major hurdle, but they've come up with an offer there. But again, I wish it was a little richer for every player.
Travis, your thoughts? Oh, you're muted, Travis.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I have the unique perspective of having a full-fledged argument with one of the production managers over at EA Sports last year about this, because I used to work right next door to him. So I got to meet a lot of those guys, and it was interesting. We'll say that. And so I was on the NCAA 07 video game, and I would have gone in that game for free. Like, they didn't have to pay me to just give me a copy of the game. Like, that would have been it. Because a lot of these kids, they're proud to be able to say, I'm on the game. Like, if you're talking trash to your boys and your boys tell you what you have and have not done in life, all you have to say is, well, when was the last time you played with yourself on a video game? Like, that's an easy conversation. No, not creative player mode. No. When was the last time you picked up a video game and just saw yourself play? Like, that doesn't need a cost. So I understand the $6,000 or the $5,000 conversation versus the $600 conversation. But at the end of the day, for a lot of these kids, picking up that game in and of itself and just playing with yourself is a source of pride. That's a source of compensation in and of itself, and almost free advertising in some ways. So I can get that 10,000 plus players just accepting that. But also on EA Sports' point of view, whether or not they paid got all these players to get into the game, this game was going to come out, and because the game was missed. Like, everyone, we've seen, if you've been on any of the socials, how often people have been talking about wanting the game back, like wanting that other game to compete with Madden. From the college perspective, because if you love college football, you want that Madden-esque competition to play with. we finally got it back. I think everybody wins here. It's just if you want the players to get paid more, that's because you probably wanted the players to get paid years ago. Like you've always had that opinion, probably.
Mel, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think EA Sports, I think this is where the whole NIL started, with the players revolting about not getting compensated for being on that game. So there were some enlightened individuals, and I can't remember what university it was, that said, hey, we need to be compensated. I think how this all started and how we got to where we are right now. I think it's exciting for these guys. I think it's probably more telling of the individuals that did not opt in the NIL for EA Sports. You see, Arch Manning did not opt in for whatever reason. Maybe wanted more money. I don't know. But he didn't want the money. I mean, he hasn't really done much in NIL, and what he did do, I think, it was an autograph session or something of that nature, and he gave it to charity. But I think some of the big names who are coming back for next year have opted in. I'm sure their deals will probably look a little bit different than some of the other guys' deals. But I mean, I think this is more in line of what it looks like. Everybody's getting a piece. Everybody's getting a piece, and that's I'm okay with that. As much as I can't stand NIL, the way that it has been presented with these collectives and what so forth. That the rich continue to get richer, and the more powerful can continue to get more powerful. I like this setup. I think it'll be nice. I think it'll be fun. Obviously, like Travis says, it's pretty cool to see yourself on there and to be able to utilize yourself on a game and see yourself getting beat deep or run over or whatever the case may be in your case, Travis.
Oh, in my case, no. I'm an ankle tackler, but I don't get ran over.
Okay. So you're gonna get hurdled.
That's funny. That's good. I love it. So let's stay in the NC2A. The NC2A is Football Rules Committee revealed some recommendations on Friday that they want to be more like the NFL. The first one that they are considering is allowing the head coach to have an in-game communication with one player on offense and one player on defense in one of the rule proposal changes. They also want to change. Let's see. They also want to. They support a timeout when the game clock reaches 2 minutes at the end of each half. They want to make some of the rules more like NFL rules. So your thoughts on that? We'll start with Travis.
I mean, that just makes sense. Like, I mean, we're slowly getting closer and closer and closer to college actually being what the NFL has always wanted it to be, which is it's a farming system for the NFL. So why not make these things look a little bit closer? Like we don't like some of the things like NIL and the players getting paid and how the corporate look of it, the corporate feel of it when they get paid. However, that is what it is. If we're going to look at it like a job where you're feeding these children into this business, then cool. Let's make the rules be a little bit better. The last thing that's going to be in that equation is just making the hashes, bringing those hashes in just a little bit, and then boom, we're there. So yeah, this is a good thing to just get those middle linebackers, safety, whoever it's going to be, or get the quarterback acclimated to actually managing the offense or managing the defense and calling those plays. That's dope.
Okay, Mel, your thoughts.
That's funny you say that, Travis. Were the goalposts a little bit wider for field goals for college at one time too, or just they look that way because they were shorter?
I believe
They used to kick off the tee. When I was playing, we kicked off the tee in college, and then they did away with the tee. But because guys had a problem going from the tee to kicking off the ground, we had a guy who was drafted in the second round, John Lee, and he couldn't kick off the ground. He got drafted by Kansas City. He could not kick off the ground. His career did not last long. But I don't have a problem with the headset. I think that it doesn't really matter. I mean, people steal signs in the pros too. You go back and look at the dynasty; they were stealing signs, and they would still use headsets at that particular time. If I'm not mistaken, I guess the defense wasn't. I don't know what they were doing over there, but that'll take away some of the sign stealing things the guys complain about, the coaches complain about at the college level. I don't. College games are a little bit long as it is. An extra timeout is not something that we necessarily need because they throw the ball so much and there's not that many complete. I mean, there's there's more completions because you throw the ball so much. The games last a little bit longer. I don't think we necessarily need to mirror the NFL and have that 2-minute timeout at the end of the game. Or they're going to get rid of the stripe on the football as well. Like Travis said, they're going to move into hash marks and all that stuff too. I think some things that I think that the hash marks make the college game a little bit more wide open. You got to cover a little bit more field because you could be on one on a far hash. But again, But like I said, I don't have a problem with the communication. I think that just makes sense. The technology is there. Let's go ahead and do it. I mean, we stopped running in flankers or running backs a long time ago, or whoever it was running in plays the way we used to do. Coach would tell you to play, and by the time you got in the huddle, you forgot it. But I think it'd be a good thing for the communication portion of it. I don't particularly care about the 2-minute timeout at the end of each half.
Okay. George, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm in favor of the headset communication. Among the list of proposals, I really am. I mean, that's kind of a thing that's been obviously part of the NFL for many, many years, and I think I can't argue at all. I mean, with you guys and your assessment, I mean, it just goes to show you that I've known this for years. Travis, you emphasized it as the NFL wants to have their farm system, and the farm system consists of college football. That's no surprise to me at all. I mean, look at the guys that are coming out early. We get guys that are coming out and not finishing college. That's been going on for years, of course. But I'm sort of with you, Mel. I mean, I don't want to see them copy every NFL particular rule or the way every game is played. And I just don't see that. I mean, I'd like to have differences a little bit in the college game and the pro game, and I'm talking about. I mean, what bigger difference we have in college baseball, for crying out loud? These guys are using the wrong bats when they make it to the big leagues. You're back to a wooden bat for college baseball players who are so used to hitting with the aluminum bats. And I know I'm comparing apples and oranges, but that's a significant difference that I like. The NFL and college football can still have some differences. They don't have to copy everything identical in the pros. No, but the communication, two-way communication, designating, like you said, Candy, one person on offense and one player on defense, I like that. That's a good idea. The other stuff, I'm not a big fan of. I mean, the timeouts and the different things about the stopping the clock, and there's differences on that. Of course, the big difference is 1 foot in or 2 feet in, for the pass receptions, but that's not on the table right now. But I'd like to still see. I'm kind of obviously a traditionalist. I'd like to see some difference between the colleges and the pros.
Okay, Jeremy.
I kind of agree with Mel. The extra time out at the 2-minute clock warning, it's really not necessary. The game is longer. But I also agree with George. The only rule they should have done, they haven't done yet, is making receivers catch with both feet in bounds, because then there isn't as much of a transition for wide receivers. And that makes it into the true NFL farm system at every position, because it would also take away interceptions on the defensive side of the ball.
Okay. Mel, do you have any topics you want us to talk about tonight?
Well, did you guys talk about the fact that no running backs had franchise tag last week? Was that? I know. And see, I hate that I missed last week because I would have been all over that. And so happy for these guys to finally get an opportunity to have true free agency and to find out exactly what other teams think of them. They know what their team thinks of them, not much. So now they have an opportunity to see what other teams may think of them. And I think, the Giants, I think they're making a huge mistake by doing this. You're not going to get a Saquon Barkley out there in the draft. The Raiders, I think they're taking a chance. I think they might want to try to get Josh Jacobs back. It's just a matter of whether or not they can agree. Jerry Jones, obviously, he jumped the gun by tagging Tony Pollard. Again, this guy's not a great evaluator of talent, so to speak. And I think he just got a little bit anxious or whatever, and a little ahead of himself out over his skis, thinking that Tony Pollard was going to be able to replace the production of Ezekiel Elliott. And Derrick Henry, looking forward to looking to see what he can do. I'm looking forward for these guys to have the opportunity to go out there and test free agency and see if we can't bring that number back up to where it needs to be. Right now it's just disrespectful that our cap number is right there above the kicker. That's just disrespectful to a guy that touches the ball. Only players that touch the ball more than them is the center and the quarterback. That's it. And it's just disrespectful to the position.
Travis, your thoughts?
I mean, I don't think there's anything in that statement to disagree with. Unfortunately, we've talked about this for a while. How disrespectful the salaries are for the running back position, with how violent the nature of the position is. Yeah, that's that's a rough combination overall. So yeah, if it helps them going through the free agency process and maybe even increasing that salary limit, that salary evaluation, then yeah, do that, handle that. Good luck. But again, I kind of expressed my fear earlier as far as seeing how NFL teams are going to counter or see what their thoughts are on it, because that's my fear. It's a great thing to find out what you're worth until you find out you're not worth much. Like that's the knock. I don't know. I mean,
if you don't have
see.
one team bidding for your services, and then it's going to take 2 first rounders to try to figure out what your worth is. I mean, come on. I mean, it's not fair. I mean, you're boxed with both your hands behind your back. You brought up a good point earlier talking about college, that there's really no. I think you said there's no first round running back. If you're a kid in high school and you're playing running back, first of all, they don't throw the ball as much as they used to. I mean, run the ball as much as they used to, whether that be in the high school game or the college game. But if you are a kid in high school and you are a running back and you look at what's going on in the NFL at the running back position, I'm slimming down. And I'm becoming a wideout. I am not going to continue to play. I'm not going to play running back. Let me touch the ball 8 to 10 times a game versus touching it 25 to 30 times a game, taking all that pounding, and then get paid the least. I'm switching to running back. I mean, I'm switching to wideout. I'll just be 6 foot, 205, 199. I'll get to 199, and I'll be a running back. I can easily get there. I'm down to 204 now, so I could get there. So
That's if you have
That's if you
have the right people, though. Like if you have the right people in your corner, yeah, that's the right decision, and that's the decision you're going to make. But a lot of these kids, they want that notoriety. They want the ball in their hands all the time. You know how this is, man. You remember when you were in high school.
The running backs don't. I mean, they're throwing the ball more than ever right now. They're slinging it all around the yard. I watch around a lot. I watched the Georgia State championship game. the high school that my nephew went to, they could have easily won the game by running the football. They got a big time recruit, I guess, at quarterback. I don't know how he is, but he's a big time recruit. And they just started throwing the ball. The guy's throwing picks. I mean, he had a horrible day. He's throwing picks. He's throwing incompletions. He's getting sacked when they could have easily ran the ball up and down the field. People, it's like, baseball chicks dig the long ball. Nobody wants to see the old hit and run. Nobody wants to see that kind of stuff. They want to see the long ball, right? That's what they want to see in football now as well. They want to see the long ball or the guy that can catch and make a couple guys miss and take it to the house.
Jeremy, your thoughts?
You know what ruined the running back's value? Running back by committee. As soon as that started, everybody started doing the 2 running back or 3 running back by committee. As soon as that started happening, the value went away. And then you had Le'Veon Bell sit out his franchise tag. All of that combined.
And that was 16 million back then, wasn't it? It was 16 million, 14 million for that area, 60 million.
16.5.
Yeah, now it's down to 10. How does that happen? Everybody else is getting a raise, or the running backs are getting a pay cut.
They devalued themselves.
This is America. How does that happen?
So you sound like you're blaming the Rams, is what I'm getting at. Is what I'm getting from this.
The Rams and the Patriots. Yes, the Rams and the Patriots.
Okay. Because that was one of my first memorable experiences, seeing running back by committee. Is dang it, I don't even know what year that was at this point. But under McVay, and that's kind of when I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, you guys are. That
was right after they got rid of Todd Gurley.
Yeah, Todd Gurley got hurt, but I think Shanahan's, they ruined it by drafting a couple guys, having a couple, Landis Gary and some other guys that they drafted
Mm.
or undrafted free agents or something like that and rushed for 1,000 yards. So like, oh man, we can get a running back anywhere in the draft. Well, yeah, okay.
And
All
then
right.
everybody
You're
else
not gonna
started copying it.
You're not going to get a Marshall Falk anywhere. You're not going to find him anywhere. You're not going to get a Barry Sanders. You're not going to find that kind of guy anywhere. Eric Dickerson, you don't find them everywhere. LaDainian Tomlinson, they just aren't sitting on the corner. They aren't standing on the corner.
Man, so
Special kind of back.
all I'm hearing is that, hey man, the nerds ruin football. That's what I'm getting. The nerd, they're like, hey, well, you might not get. Well, it's the money ball, right? That's what it comes
Right.
down to. It's the money
That's
ball
what it comes
approach.
down to.
It's saying, instead of saying I'm going to pay this one guy $20 million, I can pay these two guys $7 million combined and get 90% of their productivity. It might not be in the exact same way. I might have to throw the ball a little bit more, but it's fine. That's the gist of it. So
That's what it is.
Get it. It sucks though, but I get it.
George, your thoughts?
No, I'm not going to add anything more. These guys have covered it well. I do want to say one thing, though, about the Detroit Lions fans, okay? The Lions are ranked near the top of the National Football League in game day experience. And I got to tell you, this has been a evolving kind of scenario because, as you guys know, they used to play in the 80,000 seat Pontiac Silverdome before Ford Field was built with much less seating, about 64,000 seats. But the Lions marketing and PR department and everybody connected with the fans and the experience of the fans have done a terrific job. The Lions have kept prices down for most of their tickets for a lot of years. The Lions went through a lot of hoops to welcome fans to their practice and training site in Allen Park. Over the years, adding bleachers and making it a fan experience, which was never envisioned, unfortunately, when it was built. And now they've kind of outgrown it. There's even some rumblings that the Lions will have to move their training camp and headquarters to another city, build another bigger place. But I do want to congratulate the fans, the voice of the fans of the Detroit Lions. Number one overall in game day satisfaction. And all 8 of the other remaining categories, the scores were the Lion fans were in the top 10, and I'm not going to go through all of them here, but hats off to all these fans. Obviously, every game is a sellout now, and the Lions obviously rewarded them this year with a tremendous season. So that's the last parting shot I wanted to share with everybody.
Okay, Travis, do you have a parting shot?
No, I mean, it's not even for this week, so I should save it, but it's really just I'm looking forward to seeing what this UFL season is going to look like. And that's the end of this month. I'm just curious about what it's going to look like in comparison to the college game. Now, obviously, they won't be anything close to some of the top teams, but yeah, I can see it was entertaining last year, and it's even caused some of the ripples of what we're seeing in the NFL game as far as their rule changes. So I'm interested in seeing a forward-thinking organization operate and see how that goes.
Okay, Mel, do you have a parting shot?
No, I think that my parting shot was talking about those running backs. God bless.
Okay, Mr. Jeremy, do you have a parting shot?
For the love of God, Brad Holmes, please sign another corner. That's it.
He will, Jeremy.
Oh, that's funny. That is funny. Okay, so my parting shot, and I know this is a football show, and I'm not going to talk about football, but I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize LeBron James for hitting 40,000 points. Whether you like him or not, he's talented, and he's done a lot for the game of basketball. On the flip side, I'm also going to recognize Caitlin Clark for her hitting the NC2A record for scoring. Not only did she beat the record, but she also heightened the awareness of the game and brought more fans to the stands. And you can't argue that. $459 for a ticket to that game, and the most expensive ticket was over $5,000 to go sit and watch her and them beat Ohio State in their final home game. So kudos to her for bringing more attention and heightened awareness to women's sports. And the other thing she did, and I thought that was really very cool of her, she declared for the draft, but she declared for the draft on Tuesday so that all they could talk about that on Tuesday and get that all done, and then they could prepare for the game and work on the game. And for all of the people that I've heard these naysayers saying, oh, well, Pete, they didn't have the 3-point shot back then, and they didn't have this. And you're always going to find something that you're going to disagree with something like this. The fact of the matter is, this is how the game is played now. This is how it's scored now. She also has over 1,000 assists. So she is not one that was a ball hog, unlike Pete. So, you're always going to have it because you're always going to say, well, is MJ better or was LeBron better? Like, they didn't play at the same time frame. It's always hard to compare. And you're talking about comparing women to men and NC2A. Stop. Just let them have their moment. She has the new scoring title. Whether you agree with it or not, leave it alone. Let her have her glory. She's done a lot for the game. Any comments?
There's nothing against the young lady, but Pete did his in 3 years. She did hers in 4. Because he wasn't able to play as a freshman. So he put up I think he averaged 40 points a game or something like that. I can't remember. But actually, the all-time leading scorer in basketball, this is before the NCAA, the women were a part of the NCAA, is a young lady by the name of Pearl Moore, who actually had 4,061 points. She went to a little small school, Francis Marion, I believe it was in South Carolina or something like that. And she actually has, for all college basketball, she is the leading scorer in all college basketball. So I just throw that out there. But that's nothing, that takes nothing away from what this young girl has accomplished. I mean, she's 6 foot. She can shoot the ball. I mean, she can shoot. We witnessed it at the All-Star game where the young lady was out there with Steph Curry. I mean, these girls can shoot. I mean, there was a time where it wasn't pretty, but now it's pretty. It looks good. I mean, I've been watching basketball, Cheryl Swoops, all those guys. But go back to when Cheryl Miller was playing with USC and the McGee twins. I've been watching college basketball for a long time, and have always been impressed by their ability. I remember when Cheryl Swoops. I mean, she looked like a Michael Jordan to me when she was playing. She was unbelievable. So, I mean, I've always enjoyed the game. I actually like watching their college basketball games, to be honest with you.
That's awesome. Awesome. Anybody else? Anyone? Jeremy?
Kaylin Clark, say what you want. Yes, she did it in 4 years. What you get when you watch women's basketball is fundamentally sound basketball. It may be boring. If they want to make this game more exciting at the WNBA level and actually get people watching, lower the hoop to 9.5 feet. Let them be able to slam. And you will actually see those numbers grow and the sponsorships get bigger. Because the percentage-wise, the sponsorship money and everything else, they're making the same percentage as the men. It's just that the sponsorships don't have the money and the TV money for them. So if you bring up the viewership by making a more exciting game, the sponsorships will go up. That's my suggestion.
That'd be tough to do. I mean, these girls have been shooting at a 10-foot rim all this time, and all of a sudden you lower it to 9.5 feet. Now these guys aren't as proficient at shooting anymore because we shoot a bunch of air balls.
You don't do it mid-season though. You do it before the season. Let them practice.
I understand you don't do it. I understand you don't do it mid-season, but they've been playing one way for all their life. Now you want to lower the rim.
I'm saying it should be that way across the board.
That's like retraining a soccer player to kick like 4 feet higher, or retraining a field goal kicker to kick again, it's the same thing.
They already do that with soccer kickers because they turn them into field goal kickers.
You know exactly what I'm saying, but I got you.
I'm just saying it's already been done.
Or getting the guy to kick off the ground as opposed to the tee. Some guys couldn't do it.
Well, guys, this has been a really enlightening and fun episode tonight. Let's go around the horn and tell everybody how they can get a hold of you or watch you if you have your own shows. We're going to start with Travis.
You can find me on all the socials, Travis D. Holmes. You can find my writings covering the Jacksonville Jaguars at bigcatcountry.com. And you can also find me here every Tuesday, wherever you get your podcasts at 8:30 p.m. inside the Pigskin. And also my Jacksonville Jaguars podcast, the Duval Diver Jaguars podcast on Fridays during the season at 11 a.m. Again, wherever you get your podcasts. As always, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Jeremy, how can people find you?
Oh, you can find me right here at the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. where you can see this wonderful show, the Fire Up, Pundit, Professor and the Pupil, 108 Stitches. God, there's so many. The Sports
Right.
Exchange. But that being said, you can also find me on my channel, which is Kneecap Biting with the Motor City Lions. You can also find me on another channel on YouTube called Football Talk 365. I do shows on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday nights at 9:30 p.m. talking about the Lions and the NFL. And I have a morning daily talk show at 11 a.m. called Lions Talk with Smoke and Jeremy B. and my co-host, Dan Von Doom Leonard. And pretty soon we're launching our own website with our own line of merchandise for sale. A lot of haterade going on in it too. We got all sorts of stuff that's fun to sell.
Yes, at the expense of my team, but that's okay. I get it. Okay, Mr. George, tell us how they can get hold of you.
You can get a hold of me at the South Florida Tribune. I write under the Motor City Tribune. At the end of my column, you'll see a link to take a look at and purchase my book, Detroit Sports Broadcasting on the Air, featuring many famous Detroit sports broadcasters. Unfortunately, many of them are gone. Even since this book was published, it's amazing how many fellows we've lost. So on that pleasant note, you can reach me at gicorn@yahoo.com. Follow me on Twitter at SanGSports99, or else look for me on LinkedIn as well, and Facebook as well under my name. So I enjoy contributing to 108 Stitches and Inside the Pigskin, as well as other great shows like the Sports Exchange and Pundit's Pundit on this wonderful network of yours.
Thank you. And Mel, how can people get a hold of you?
You can get a hold of me on all the social media at Melfar Jr. That's Facebook, Twitter, or X, Instagram, LinkedIn. And you follow what we have going on here in Georgia and also for Michigan at melfar.org. Just like to send out my condolences to the family of Chris Mortensen, great NFL reporter. Watched him for many years. Watching ESPN, that's where you get your news and report. He was always first with the information, and I'm certain his family would dearly miss him, and also a lot of his fans, someone like myself, will miss him as well.
Yes. Thank you for that. I have to first thank Scott because unfortunately he was a little tired today. He's, like I said earlier,
He's got to play hurt, man. He's got to learn how to play hurt.
I know he does, but he's got me to co-host or step in. Like I said, for this show, since we're talking football, I'm the backup quarterback, and so I'm coming in, to throw the next pass here. So,
well, you know what happened with Tom Brady and Drew Bledsoe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anybody that's been watching the Dynasty, he knows what happened there. So.
Yep. So I'll tell him to be careful. Right?
Be careful, exactly. He's got to learn how to play hurt.
Exactly. So typically on the network, Monday nights are 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. Tuesday nights, Inside the Pigskin. Wednesday nights are Sports Exchange. You never know, they might throw in a No Limits or Motor City Mad Mouth show. He's to do some one-on-one interviews with some people. Thursday nights is normally Pundit's Pundit and Fire Up. And then you just never know on the weekend if we're going to throw in a Fire Up or a Professor and Pupil or what you might see. So please come back to subscribe. You hit that red subscribe button. Watch all of our shows. If you have comments, in the chat room, or you can always email them to us, southfloridatribune@gmail.com. And therefore, if you have show ideas or topic ideas, you can always catch all of our shows, the audio version, on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, or wherever you get your podcast. The other thing is I'm going to put this picture up so it's going to hide me. That's the book that Scott wrote, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It talks about how media has changed over the course of 40 plus years. It talks about interviews that he's done with different people. So go get his book. It's available on Amazon and Kindle and more places to come. Wait for that announcement. But guys, it's been a great show. Appreciate you and all your input. I hope everybody goes out and subscribes, watches all your shows. gets a hold of you. But in the meantime, thank you. Have a great night. Jeremy, close us out. I know, on the spot.
Try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. It's the only way to make the world a better place. It starts in here. Much love, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.